The Beijing real estate market, once a radiant and brilliant diamond, has lost its former glory. It is experiencing an unprecedented collapse. Once unreachably high housing prices are now plummeting, and even the luxury homes in wealthy districts are feeling the impact. The long-standing strongholds of high-end housing in the southern 3rd and 4th ring roads are not spared from misfortune. According to the data, some properties in the southern 4th ring road have seen their transaction prices fall below 30,000 yuan per square meter, an area that once was the home to countless wealthy individuals. Even the northwest 5th ring road, dubbed as Beijing's price ceiling, is now a shattered image of its former self, with April's latest transaction price only at 49,000 yuan per square meter, far from the former heights where few properties were below 70,000 yuan per square meter. In no time, it seemed like the entire luxury market in Beijing had fallen into an irretrievable state. Those once prized villas and mansions, worth tens of millions, are now akin to once praised Buddha statues that have been shattered to pieces. Beijing has indeed entered an unprecedented real estate winter. Facing the continuous drop in property prices, Beijing's middle class feels heartbroken. They entered into housing slavery, skimping and saving to purchase a home. Now, with the violent price drop, their dreams have crumbled to dust. Buying a property in Beijing truly felt like gambling, with sudden surges and drops. Many housing slaves saw their savings drain away and dreams evaporated. Several middle-class families have fallen into a quagmire of debt from which they cannot escape. Things are getting worse. According to some real estate agents, the actual number of second-hand properties listed in Beijing has soared to 172,000, far exceeding the 146,000 officially announced. It's like a giant treasure chest being flipped open, with countless second-hand properties flooding the market. This torrential flood of properties quickly overwhelms Beijing's meager demand. Many buyers no longer have the courage to act. With first-tier city prices dropping by nearly half, who dares to recklessly buy a property and ruin their future? The situation in Beijing's older districts is even more shocking. For example, in Haidian District's Qinghe wool spinning factory community, a 21-year-old property that was sold for 5.26 million yuan can now only sell for 3.84 million yuan. In the Tiantanjuan area, several two-bedroom properties are sold for just over 2 million yuan, with the entire district's average price falling below the floor of 20,000 yuan per square meter. Beijing's real estate market is going through an unprecedented storm, and even first-tier luxury districts are not immune, with second-hand properties being sold at severely discounted prices. What's more alarming is that this collapse has been ongoing for months, with no signs of stopping. Since October 2023, the Beijing real estate market has been steadily declining, with no bottom in sight. Experts suggest that current declines generally range from 40% to 50%, meaning that many properties have lost half their value since their peak. Some dramatic figures reveal that from September 2023 to April 2024, Beijing's entire second-hand property market listings surged by 47,000 units, indicating the severity of this collapse. This stormy drop in property prices has left countless Beijing housing slaves in unprecedented despair. They sacrificed almost everything to buy a house, enduring oppressive loans, draining their resources, even squeezing into cramped apartments to save for a down payment, leading lives worse than those of the poor. But just when they thought they were about to realize their dream of owning a home, the harsh reality of the real estate market hit them like a slap in the face. Housing slaves once again became sacrificial victims in this storm of Beijing real estate. Thus, we see countless Beijing buyers shedding tears of despair. A buyer with the online name Xiao Chun lamented, "I wanted to buy a house to settle down in 2023, but I saw property prices plummet, so I delayed my purchase." Then in early 2024, prices fell even more sharply, down 40%. What's even worse, many people had already bought their homes at the end of 2023 or early 2024, believing that the market had hit rock bottom and it was a perfect time to buy. Little did they know that this collapse was far from over, leaving their properties severely devalued and becoming a laughingstock. For instance, a white-collar worker spent 9 million yuan on a 3-bedroom property in the Dongqing district at the end of 2023. At that time, this was already the lowest-priced property in the area. However, by April of this year, a similar 3-bedroom property in the same area could be bought for just 6.7 million yuan, 2.3 million yuan lower than what he paid, resulting in an immediate loss of nearly 25% of the original investment. Similar stories are everywhere in the Beijing market, with more and more owners forced to sell their beloved properties at low prices. Especially those who urgently need cash, like families planning to emigrate overseas or send their children abroad for studies. Their need for cash is so urgent that they are willing to sell their homes at a loss. According to insider information, there have been cases where many mortgaged properties are being auctioned off at low prices. Many poor housing slaves are forced to sell at low prices to escape debt. Industry insiders lament, how much blood have housing slaves given to real estate? How many people had to live frugally for most of their lives to buy a house, even if it lost its value, with no other choice but to sell and return to the same old life they once had? Moreover, many middle-aged parents have children just starting their careers, needing support. To provide their children with start-up funds, parents have to sacrifice a large portion of their retirement savings by selling their properties at a low price. In no time, selling houses to save children has become the only choice for many middle-aged people in Beijing. In this uncertain era, which parent wouldn't want to give their children the greatest support? Even if it means selling their homes at a loss, it's all worth it. Experts believe that for Beijing's real estate market to recover, the key is to stimulate real purchasing demand, rather than relying on speculative bubble economy. Unfortunately, currently, Beijing's property buyers face decreasing income and declining purchasing power, all stemming from the economic downturn that began in late 2023. When people's incomes shrink significantly, who dares to be optimistic about investing in the future? That's why Beijing still has many wealthy families holding on to cash, waiting for the market to fall further before it reaches the bottom. On the other hand, sellers are desperately trying to offload properties to speed up their exit. A large number of properties in wealthy districts and middle-class neighborhoods in Beijing are being sold at significantly reduced prices. Beijing's middle and upper class will be the biggest casualties in this storm. Beijing's real estate market finds itself in an unprecedented cold storm, with prices continuing to drop and no signs of stopping. The imbalance between supply and demand will not be resolved in the short term. The wealthy are holding back, ordinary buyers are losing purchasing power, while sellers have no choice but to lower prices to offload properties. An extended real estate downturn is imminent, with Beijing likely to become the weakest among the first-tier cities. Those caught in this storm will be a large number of former housing slaves and wealthy individuals forced to cash out. Most of them will lose the wealth they worked so hard for over the past few decades. The glory of this city will soon fade, replaced by a bleak landscape. Without significant policy intervention, Beijing's real estate market will continue to struggle in this storm.